thank you guys so much for joining here, coming into the Lead Gen Underground again. I'm Josh, and this is my buddy Jerry Green. Jerry is out in Ohio, and he is also a member of Investor Fuel, the same mastermind that I am. So that's how I know Jerry. I actually just briefly met you the last one, and then Stinson actually connected us. So I'm so glad. Guys, Jerry is virtual wholesaling OG. I mean, he's been at this for longer than anybody else that you probably know. He's also an expert at it. With everything going on in the world today, I thought Jerry would be the perfect guest to have on. He's probably forgotten more skills than most of us even know. And so, Jerry, can you give us a little rundown on your business, who you are, what you do, that kind of thing? Thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Glad to help here. So I guess kind of give you a little quick snapshot of history-wise on things. So I started in this business in the real estate side of things back in actually 1994. So I guess that makes me a little old then. So I started back then in the 90s, and I'm just gonna, Josh, if you want, I can share a little bit of my story. So you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from on things. But when I started back in the 90s, I was actually, prior to real estate, I was actually working with my father in the electrical contracting business here in Ohio, actually from Springfield, Ohio at that time. And we basically had built a pretty good small, contracting business, electrical contracting. We've done a lot of work for a lot of general contractors. And this all kind of changed very quickly on things for me. Just kind of like everything is changing right now in this environment. But let's see, hopefully we can, that's not too noisy. You hear me okay on things?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what happened was I had this general contractor we'd done a lot of work for. He actually called me up at home, and it was like on a Sunday night, and I'll never forget this. And back then we really didn't have cell phones, so it was a landline. And called me up and just basically let me know he was closing his doors to his business as of tomorrow morning, and he wanted to give me advance notice on this. So one night, and so on this dude, I mean, basically, my father and I had done a lot of electric work for this gentleman, and he owed our company, our small company at that time, a little over $60,000. You take that, I mean, that's a chunk of money anyways, but take it back in the early 90s, that's even a bigger amount today.
Definitely.
So, but unfortunately, we went through a period of time, Josh, there, that he closed his doors. He wasn't able to pay us the money. We ended up being in a position, we ended up going out of business. I actually filed bankruptcy during that time. And so while I was going through all that, at the same time, man, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I actually saw an advertisement on TV about a local real estate seminar coming up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and made a decision to go to that. So I went to that training, went in, dug into everything there. I thought this sounds really cool. Of course, I got out not really knowing exactly what to do completely on things. But I did work with someone that actually I ended up hiring to become a mentor for me. Couldn't figure out, how I was going to pay for that either on things, because I did just go through the bankruptcy at that time. But I ended up using my mom and dad's credit cards to be able to work it. So, So, but basically, what happened was I was in a position where I had to focus on generating cash, and because I had something called monthly bills. I think people are familiar with. Okay. So I had to take care of that obligation. So what I started learning, and a lot of people are surprised when I tell them this, but I started doing wholesaling. A lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't know it even existed back then." I said, absolutely. It was this, we just had to do things a lot differently. Okay. We didn't have any of this technology that we have today. So, it was really just out there hitting the streets, grinding, man. So that's what I started doing on things, Josh. I started going out, focus on doing that. Finding deals, going out and just hitting neighborhoods. I mean, I remember taking boards off windows and crawling in freaking homes and you name it. I mean, whatever we needed to do. So, but that's how I started in this business. And started wholesaling properties, continued to grow that. And this is over in Springfield, Ohio area. And I continued to grow that side of things. And then I decided that, oh, heck, all these people are making money on fix and flip. So obviously I said, no, let's go ahead and get into that. And so I started working on that, started working with like partners and private lenders, even though there wasn't much talk about that back then. And there wasn't there really wasn't anything private lending. What's that? We just we had to create on our own. Okay. Yep. So started getting in that side of things there. Josh, and kind of grew that. And then, dude, I really built up a pretty good business. My wife and I working out of our home over in Springfield at that time, grew it up. Started doing pretty good volume of deals. And, I thought I was on top of the world there, man. And this is rolling into the year 2000. And we thought the world was collapsing then too because of Y2K. So
you went through a few cycles there.
Yeah.
Fast forward to today and talk about a little bit about what your business looks like now, because I know you do everything virtual. And that's really like the topic that I want to hit on. Talk about just a little bit on deal volume, what your team looks like, what your day-to-day kind of looks like. Just because I want you to put your experience out there, because I know how many deals that you're doing and stuff, and you're a real.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, Josh, on that, I went through this. Basically, after that, I went through a complete, personal tragedy. I think I shared with you guys. I lost my first wife to cancer. Really rebuilt things up within my business, and it took me a couple years. But when I started really growing that all over again, Josh, on things, what I really started looking at was how to build this the right way and set it up where, based upon systems and really team. And so I really started focusing more on the wholesale side instead of going in and buying fix and flips all the time. So, and what I've done, fast forward, 20 some years here, is where we're at now. Basically, I've set up where I have a lady that runs things for me, and she's my COO. Okay, her name's Ashley. And here's the cool thing about this, Josh, too. So she runs my business from New Mexico, and our business is located in Ohio. So she actually is a virtual COO for me. And
really, virtual. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, how do you be able to do that? Well, she did work here in Ohio for me for quite a few years. And she's been with me now 7 years now on things. And what she did, guys, was she came in and worked with me and learned the systems. And then obviously she could take it to a higher level. But one of the big things, Josh, we did is we really dialed in our processes and our systems. And so we've been able to do that. And what we've been able to take it to, man, is to the point now where basically she runs the day-to-day operations of the company. And then this flows down to, we're really focused on basically what we call really our accountability chart and people having their unique positions within the company. We have 2 full-time acquisitions reps. We have a dispo side of things. We have a transaction coordinator / office manager on things. Then we have assistant side of things too, supports that. And then we also have a separate division, which is our property management side. Okay.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, because we have a lot of rentals that we have too as well. Okay. But the cool thing about, Josh, to kind of share with everybody here, to kind of get into more the meat of, the whole wholesaling side of things, especially on the virtual side. As you know, I shared with you, man, I went in the field for many years doing all the acquisitions myself. So, thousands of appointments and just going out that over many, many years of doing this. And what I realized was and this was years ago when I started looking at really maybe making a switch into this, I thought, the amount of time that I'm spending out there running around on all these appointments, could I be more efficient with my time? How could we, how we could create things to another level? And of course, with Ashley too, working virtually on things as a COO, we knew that, the whole team could be more virtual as well. Now we have an office space and things like that on things, but at the same time, especially during this time, our team's actually working 100% virtual right now on things, even the people that work within the office. But we really started looking at this, Josh, and looking at how we can maximize this. So what we realized, going into this on a deeper level, and I know you and I were talking about this a little prior to the call even starting today here, was that, what is the biggest limiting reason why people, are afraid to do things virtually? Or what is it that, holds them back? And what we looked at was, and I looked at this too, is really the mindset more than anything else, okay? And it's just that mindset of thinking, well, I have to be there in person, I have to shake their hand and everything else. And which you have to realize that is completely false, okay? And Josh, here's a good way to look at it, man, okay? Is a lot of people, if you look at people that go on a lot of appointments, and a lot of times they're going out, they're putting deals together, okay? And in the field and stuff like that. But think about this. Prior to going on that appointment, you're typically pretty well putting the deal together anyways over the phone. You're working on things, you're going through that. If you're doing it properly, you're setting it up anyways. But then what happens on that, Josh, is people will be doing that, and then all of a sudden they're in the sales process, and then they stop the sales process. They stop it to set up an appointment. Okay? Think about that.
Agree.
Okay? So it's like, okay, here we are going full speed, and then all of a sudden you're pulling back to say, whoa, I'm going to stop because the next step is I have to go on an appointment. Okay, that's up here.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
And that's where so many people struggle with this, brother, okay? Is people will do that and they'll just stop all of a sudden. So the thing is it comes down to, like I say, your mindset, but also it's the seller's mindset, and it's your job to control the seller's mindset.
Absolutely.
Okay? And so you have to be in the position where you position it correctly from the beginning in regards to how you're going to go out when you're meeting with, or if you're going to meet with the seller, or if you're going to do it virtually on the phone. So really what it comes down to is when you're originally talking to the client, what is their expectations from this phone call? Okay. Is it A, you're going to come out and look at the property, or is it B, you're going to go ahead and start something? So like all the people I work with on my team, and then people that I train through like my acquisitions training, I try to get them to change their, positioning on things. So the positioning is, I'm not going to come out and take a look at your property. They don't even say that. It's not even part of a conversation. So it's just like, hey, Josh, you know what? Sounds good. Hey, look, man, if you have 10, 15 minutes, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with your property. Tell me a little bit about your situation. And I'll tell you what, man, if it sounds like we can get things worked out here, I'd love to get the process started today. Okay?
That's a good segue. Can you walk us through, I think a lot of what everyone gets hung up on in people that I've spoken with and people that have just, messaged me or whatever for tips with virtual, talk about just briefly the stages that you're going through on the phone. And what I mean by that is, for us, it's prospecting, qualifying, and then making the offer. And we try to do that in separate phone calls. Most of the time, separate team members. What does it look like for you on that end? What's your basic high-level process for walking them through on the phone?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, number one, Josh, is, of course, setting things up properly right out of the gate. So they expect and they know and they understand how we do things differently, okay? And right now, Josh, you cannot ask for a better positioning during this situation with the virus and stuff right now. Because the thing is, man, now what you got to do, you take your positioning to the point of the safety of the client and making sure they're taken care of. Okay. And so what you're doing is, and you set yourself up, Josh, too, you make this as a unique situation for them. Like you're in a position like we are basically a company that does this differently than a lot of the companies out there. We try to do things and really focus on you as a client, and especially right now, we just want to share with you with our systems, it keeps you safer. We don't have to bother you as much on things. And the good thing about it is obviously we can work this process a lot faster this way, and it allows them to feel more comfortable. And it's so important on that. So number one is the positioning side of things. Another thing is you got to go in, of course, still follow a sales process. I have a two-step sales process that I developed, that I work with my team on and a lot of my students on. And I work that side of things. So we go through that two-step sales process. So it is setting that up. It's understanding, of course, really what the motivation, building that relationship. And that's a big thing, Josh. I think I see so many people really drop out on is they skip around in the process on things. They don't build the motivation. They don't build rapport with people. They don't do that. And where's my thinking on this. If you don't do that, you really don't deserve the sale. Okay?
100%.
Okay? So we're big on that. So what I look at is that. And then what I try to do, Josh, is I'm really big about that side of things first. And then, so I break my sales process in two parts. One is to get through that. Then I look at if it's significant motivation, then we take it to step two. Okay? So that's kind of what I'm looking at on things. So I'm like, step one, make sure the framework's set and that we have proper motivation and we can really help someone. Step two is that we will go deeper if needed. Because Josh, what I see so many investors make a mistake on is they go deep on properties they should never go deep on.
You are 100% right about that. And I've been in full-time investing now for a little over 2 years, but I've been doing it more on the realm of like 5. And for the first, out of that 5, the first 3 years, maybe 3.5, I spent a lot of time talking with people who like to talk about the property, but didn't have sufficient motivation.
100%.
And that held me back for so long. And the one thing that I changed, that I tell people is maybe the most important thing for virtual wholesaling, is order of operations. So right out of the gate, we're doing prospecting. Is this a lead or not? If it's a lead, go on to the next step. And then qualifying. We ask 4 pillars of motivation, and the first is always timeline. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we can line up on the dollar signs and all the other important details, when do you think you would like to finalize a deal on this house? Or when would you like to collect your check? Because the ones who just say, well, I don't know, you called me, or I don't care, no timeline, those are the ones that there's no motivation. But if it's today, tomorrow, yesterday, a week from now, a month from now, ding, 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 let's keep going.
100%, buddy. Josh, if people would understand when it comes to the virtual side of things, like I say, it's so much about, like I say, first of all, knowing and understanding your sales process, but also, like you said, the operational side of things. Okay. In fact, here's something interesting, Josh, is we, as you know, I mean, acquisition reps that you're going to have on your team, you're going to see people, that's an area you're going to see turnover in. Okay.
Yep.
But here's an area that we started really working on, and we found this to be very true. And that is, when we work with people that are coming on our team, we no longer train them in sales first. We train them in operations first. So they have to we have an onboarding process for sales reps that have to go through our operational side first, so they understand how we operate and how the processes go, how they basically put the contract into the seller's hands, virtually, all that side of things. We cover that first. Because we learned if we turn around and train people on the sales side first, they get so anxious and so excited on that, and they get also kind of the big head, and then they skip over the operational side.
Got it.
So we train them operation first, then sales. And then what we've learned on that side of things, by doing that, we create better results for our sales team members, okay? And I mean, just proof of fact, we just had another new lady come on board, and she was in, and we put them in training for 3 weeks solid before they even get on the phone.
Wow.
Yeah, and she just got on the phones last week. In her first week, she put 3 deals together.
Get out of town. That's amazing. Jerry, got a question here from my buddy Shane. Shane, he says he understands the sales process, but he wants to know, how do you get eyes on the property to confirm conditions? So talk about that, and then elaborate a little bit into how you guys are doing comps. So whatever you're doing to get pictures or whatever, and then how you're pulling comps and stuff.
Absolutely, man. I'll tell you, I'm gonna open this door here in my little office space because it's getting a little warm in here.
Go ahead.
All right, cool. So, so understanding, guys, that, you know, what we look at is this. We have our team set up where, first of all, the team members have what we call a range calculator. And our team, and this allows them to be in a position where they can go ahead and can control the property without permission from any management, okay? So this puts them in a range, they know, and if they fall in that range calculator, it's either a green light or a red light, okay? If it's a green light, they go, they control, okay? We also are in a position where we're not being foolish out there, where we're just locking up properties to be locking up properties, because that's not the right thing to do.
Correct.
Here, guy, sorry, we had a motorcycle driving by. So we're in a position where we're working off that. Now, once we end in that control position on things, Josh, then we're very systemized where we say, okay, the rent and range side of things, we obviously will go into our contract side, okay? Now, let me just tell you a couple things on that real quick too, Josh, just while we're flowing through this. Another thing too, guys, that I'm really big on is we never use the word contract with a seller, and we never use the word offer with a seller either, okay? That's a big, big thing for us. And a lot of people say, what do you mean on that? I say, well, guys, look, for 20-some years of doing this, what I've learned is, yeah, how you word things with people has a major impact.
100%.
Okay? So what we do is we don't use contract. We might say paperwork. We might say maybe agreement. We try not to say sign. We say, hey, if you would, we just need you to approve the paperwork, okay the paperwork, okay the agreement, whatever that is, okay? So it's positioning on that. Another thing too is I think one of the most powerful things, and I think a lot of your people on here really enjoy this, is also when you're doing this is if you notice, I said I don't say the word offer, and a lot of people do this all the time. What we're focused on is solutions, okay, not offers. So we're very solution driven. So what we do is we look at, you know, if I'm talking to you, I'm gonna say, Josh, it looks like I'm really working on see if I can create a good solution for you today, okay? And I constantly focus on solutions, okay? And I don't like to use the word contract or offer or anything like that. And you find by doing that, you build a better relationship with people, because contract and offer, if you think about it, creates a negative type of impact. And we try to get away from any type of negative impact like that, okay? Another really cool thing, Josh, is this. This is something that I kind of share with you, with the people you got on today. To me, this is one of our little secret weapons is we also set it up too when we work with people that we are pushing things when they, instead of saying they're like, we're going to make you an offer, or we say, this is what we can pay for your, the offer we can give you. We let you know that this is what your property qualifies for.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now get this, Josh. This is kind of a cool thing, and I've tested this over and over again, and it works. So what we do is we change that to let people know what their property qualifies for versus making an offer. And here's the interesting thing about this, and it doesn't happen every time, but if you start thinking about it, almost like when people are qualifying for a mortgage, we position it that their home is qualifying for this amount. And when we do that, we've had many times people never counteroffer because we never made them an offer.
That's amazing right there, Jerry. That is amazing, guys. That is a gold nugget right there. I certainly haven't done this nearly as long as Jerry has. I was smiling in agreement because you never say contract, which I just got done talking with one of my guys about this today. We say agreement. So we emailed the agreement over to you because contract starts to elicit words of legal and law and lawyer and things
Exactly.
like that. And it really just puts the brakes on things. But that is really a golden nugget right there. What you just said, that was unbelievable. I'm going to start implementing that right away.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you guys, everybody that's on here, if you guys just change that. I had another mastermind group I was involved with, and there was a guy from Texas. And he told me, he says, he tried that. And he said, he came back and it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 months later. He goes, dude, I tried that. He said, that was freaking amazing. That what you just told me last time on things. He says, that's changed our whole sales side of things. I said, guys, you gotta start thinking differently. It's got to be solution driven and focus on not making offers, focus on solutions and focus on price qualifying the property, not making the actual offer. Okay. And it's pretty cool in this, and you'll really see an impact on this, Josh. And all my team is trained that way. Anybody that comes like one of my acquisitions trainings and stuff, I do the same thing, guys, on that. So it's really phenomenal what can happen when you do this. So, and then, then what we do, Josh, is going back a little deeper on things on the sales process when we're working through it, to answer the question. So we get it into an agreement with the client, okay? And then we let them know that the process is that we are going to have an inspector go out, okay? So how we get eyes on it, it's not our eyes. And that's the big limit for a lot of people too. They go, well, I have to look at the property. No, you don't, okay? You think you do.
So just to clarify, you are in agreement about a price before you ever actually lay eyes on it or get
100%. A lot of people say, but how do you do that? We work off a range calculator that we know we're in this area and we know those numbers are typically going to work. Then what we do is we send someone out to verify it for us, okay? See, a lot of people think, well, I have to be out there looking at it. No, you don't. I mean, think about this. Commercial real estate is done all over the world where people are putting properties under contract, and then after they're under contract, they do all the due diligence. Why can't we do the same thing? We can 100% do the same thing. It's changing this, guys, up here. And see, so many people are used to the traditional real estate side of things. Real estate agent thinking and stuff like that. Look, I love real estate agents. I have them on my team, but I've had to do a ton of reprogramming of their mind, okay?
100%.
So we control that, and then we turn around and dispatch out inspections. Now, here's what we do, Josh, it's really cool too, is we have it set up where we already have our inspectors scheduled ahead of time. So as soon as the deal comes in, we have an executed agreement that's passed over to our transaction coordinator. She then reaches out to the seller the same day the agreement comes in for an introduction. Hey, this is Courtney. I want to share with you my basic responsibilities and what I will be doing and helping you on. And she goes over our detailed process with the seller. So she goes over verbally, and then she sends a copy and an email too of the whole process. And then what she does is, since she has an inspector's schedule, she doesn't have to call the inspector, find out what they're available, and then go back and forth. She sets up the inspection right then on the first phone call. Okay.
Guys, this is one really big thing. I was actually just talking with a few guys this morning on my team about this. But as you can see from what Jerry's telling you, his process is just buttoned up from front to back with no lag, no indecision in between. There's nobody to run down the hallway and say, hey, do this, like one off thing. It's just boom. When A happens, then B happens. And when B happens, then C happens. He's got it all buttoned up.
Josh, the best way I can tell you on this is here's what I started really looking at, guys, is how can we take the production process and tie it into real estate? Okay. If you think about that, it's an assembly line. Okay. And on that assembly line, we have people at different stations along that assembly line. And all we've done is we've worked that and reverse engineer that, where we create basically people along each station along the assembly line. Everybody has their responsibilities. So, you know, morning, lead flow coming in, acquisitions, follow up, you know, contract execution. Once we get the execution, moving from that department to transaction coordinating, from transaction coordinating to inspections. Inspections come back in, and then we go in after that, Josh. When the inspections come back in, then it goes up, and then what happens is we actually have basically people who are queued into our system. Is like a hand comes up, says contracts in and ready for deal review. My COO meets with the team, and they do a deal review multiple times a week, and it's just multiple properties that come into the queue like that, and they're just basically reviewing those deals like that. Say yes, you know, yes, it's good. No, it's not. Number 3, renegotiate. Boom, 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 boom. And it's just a production process, guys, and it's done over and over and over again like that.
That's amazing. Tell us, we have, I wanted to keep the 30 minutes, but this is really, I will go a few more minutes. But talk about your dispositions process and how you're handling the sale of that property.
Yeah, so the dispo side of things too, Josh. So basically, once it goes to the deal review, one thing that we do is we actually have our dispo team also involved in the deal review. And the reason we do that is so we can make sure we're getting input from multiple departments. Okay, so what happens is then they say, yes, I feel we can do this, I feel we can do that. And then as soon as there's a green light on that, my COO, Ashley, makes all the decisions. And then she goes ahead and moves it over to the other department, which is Dispo. And then Dispo has a very set system that they work from in regards to, you know, calls. And just so you know on this, Josh, and I know we're limited on time here, but my Dispo side of things, everything starts with phone calls first. We do nothing on any blasting or anything like that. Okay?
So you're calling like VIP or preferred buyers first? Yeah,
Josh, the number one thing I can tell everybody on here on the Dispo side is relationship, relationship, relationship. Okay?
Fantastic.
And especially right now. Okay?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Shane also wants to know, how often are you renegotiating deals? So when you go back, how often are you retrading that price or any terms?
We have a pretty, a good, I would say probably close to 70% of those are done that way, Joshua. But you got to remember this too, guys. People expect that because we set it up that way. I want you to think about this. If I'm going out, meeting someone at a property, and I meet you and I shake your hand, not say deal, I come back to try to renegotiate later. If you're in person and you go back to do that, it's really tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to say, you saw the property.
Yep.
Okay. When we set it up virtually, we're not going out and tying the things up at a stupid amount. We're doing it in a way where they understand and expect and know that that's a normal part of our process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
Shane, I would tell you that just coming from the same side of the table as Jerry, where we've gone to mostly virtual now, retrading is a lot more common, but I do not get a lot of pushback on it whatsoever. But it is from framing it the way that Jerry said. Right off the bat, they know that you haven't seen the house yet. We're talking through deals now where we can throw out a number. we can estimate on some numbers of repair, but we're not getting as scientific as I know that you would in person. It's just not
100%.
even that big of a thing to go back and retrade that deal, at least for us.
Yep. No, that's it. And it's not really, guys, if you do it correctly. And see, that's another reason too, guys, that we have the inspection done, because guys, that is an area that here's why I always tell people, when you go back and renegotiate on things, okay, don't go back and look at trying to renegotiate with somebody without evidence. Okay. If you're an attorney, you're not going to win a case without evidence. So we do the same thing. We have our evidence and we present that and we walk the client through that so they understand it. If you do that, you're doing your job and you're being very ethical on that too.
Absolutely.
If you're just going out there and being stupid, throwing offers out everywhere without a plan system, then shame on you. But we do it the right way, and we also show them the evidence, and then, you know what, we build our case, and that's how we're able to get a lot of them renegotiated without much hiccup.
Absolutely. And Shane, just to add to that as well, in a few courses that I've done, in a few ways that I've learned, it's that after you're sending out, so we're sending out deals via email and making calls as well. And then once we're setting up those showings and taking people through, we're following back up on those a lot to get their feedback. And even if they're not interested at that price, or they say, you know, the toilet was busted, we're going to need to gut that bathroom, that's some of the same evidence that you take back to that owner or that seller and say, I just didn't know that the bathroom had to be gutted. We discovered this and this. So that does.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about it, it's done anyways in a normal real estate transaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Jerry, we're going to wrap up in just like 3 minutes. Number one, tell us about your top lead gen channels. Where are you getting most deals? The cold calling, texting, mail? What's the best for you right now?
I can tell you, dude, I've been, all the years I've been doing, tried a lot of different things. By far our best performer is direct mail.
Direct mail. Fantastic. Okay. And how many pieces are you sending out approximately like per mail now? Or per month?
We're doing 20, 25,000 a month.
Wow. Very good. Strong numbers. Okay. And then how many deals are you typically squeezing out of that per month in your market?
Between that and our another thing though, Josh, understand on this is we do a heavy follow-up. Okay.
I love it.
Extremely aggressive. And a lot of it also is texting too. Okay. But we'll do I mean, this month here, I think we're up to 18 deals.
Wow. Good for you, man. That's
so we do some pretty large volume on things.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay. And then Jerry, give us like one more mindset thing, because like we talked about, I think the number one biggest shift that you have to make from going acquisitions, regular acquisitions, belly to belly to virtual, the number one thing overall, I think, is a mental shift that you have to make, that you believe that you can do it. And
100%.
that you're just going to say, screw it, let's go for it. I have enough information. I'm going to jump in and make it work.
Yep.
What's like the biggest mindset shift or thought or belief that you think that everyone on here looking to do their first virtual deal, what's the one biggest thing that they can make, the biggest shift or the biggest mindset hack?
I think the big thing that I would look at, Josh, is that you doing this virtually creates a higher level of service for your client versus somebody going in the field.
Absolutely.
And I really believe that, because especially right now, for everything that's going on with the virus and stuff like that, even more so. By positioning yourself right on this, you set yourself apart and make yourself more unique. And if you do that, that is something you have to relay over in a mindset. And I like to say your mindset, but it's also the seller's mindset. Okay?
Absolutely.
And to me, that is key to the virtual wholesaling side of things. Is you've got to overcome that, okay? And when you can overcome that, that's a huge thing. And you got to make it, guys, and all you understand on this is you make it that is a standard way that you do business. And if you do it that way, that's not a big deal. What happens and when you get pushback is when you give people a hiccup of why you're doing it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I said that was the last thing, but can you go back and just repeat the language that you said before? You don't say contract. You don't say, what were the other ones that you said? Because those were so good.
Yeah. So we don't say contract. We don't say offer. Okay. We say paperwork. We say approve. We say okay the paperwork. And then another big thing too is nobody's allowed to use the word offer in our office. It's solutions. And also when we're dealing with the seller, we don't tell them we're making them an offer. We will say, hey, this is the offer. We let them know that, Josh, I've worked hard here on things for you, and it looks like I can get your property qualified for this.
Amazing.
Okay.
So good. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge here today, man. I think that was really amazing. People even were saying in the comments as we go, that was a gold nugget, incredible. But I know they already agree. Wait till some other people hear the playback. Jerry, where can our friends on the call and those listening later, where can they find out more info, connect with you, follow you, whatever? Tell us a little bit more.
Okay. Couple things is, first of all, definitely you can hit me up on Facebook on my, this is my fan page, just Jerry Green, out here in Germantown, Ohio. I think my personal page, I think I'm about maxed out on that just about, but I think a few more friend requests or something on there, but definitely follow me on that. Also hit me up at Jerry, at the Jerry Green on Instagram. Follow me there. And then also, guys, you can jump on my website, which is thejerrygreen.com. There's some free videos on there too. And one last thing too, Josh, is so I was telling you a little bit too. I actually have oh, hey, Todd. I didn't notice Todd was on here. Great guy too. Todd's been in a couple of my trainings. But so next month, Josh, I had a acquisitions training scheduled in Columbus, Ohio. But obviously due to the virus, I've had to cancel that live event. So what I decided to do, we're doing it actually as a virtual acquisitions training. And it's going to be held next week from this Friday, April 3rd. And it'll be a virtual training. It's a one-day training. And what we do is we go through the complete sales process of things. And we also go through my complete virtual process. And we're going to be hyper-focused on the virtual side on this training. And it's an all-day training. And typically my live training on that, Josh, is at $2,000. But I just made actually a post this morning just with everything going on and try to help people out. I'm doing that for 65% off right now to help people out. So anybody that wants to be involved with that on things, I'm keeping it limited to. I'm not doing a big group because I want to keep it interactive, but $700, man.
Wow,
so.
Amazing, Jerry. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much, guys. Don't hesitate to go follow Jerry, connect with Jerry, ask him more questions. But dude, air high five because you just gave us some awesome tips on this call. Dude,
hey, glad to help, buddy. Glad to help, and I hope everybody got something out of it today. And I'm glad to share, guys. Okay.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here with the Lead Gen Underground. I will catch you next week, each and every Wednesday at 4 p.m. This elevator is going up. See you later.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.